Today on Hot Science, we take a closer look at some Russian dinosaurs. We make a human battery, and Icy and Poot have some mouse problems.
Hi, this is Hot Science, and I'm glad you're here because I have a question for you. What are the three main states of matter that make up everything in the world? Well, first of all, there are things like you and I, which have a definite shape, and they're called solids. Then what about water? There's so much water in the world. Well, that's liquids. And the final one, say the air we breathe, so gases. So the three main states of matter are solid, liquids and gases, right, Sue?
Right, Rob, that's right. And some things can be solids, then become liquids, and some things can go from liquids to being gases.
Yep.
Right. Let me see. So let's take something like water. You can have it as a solid.
When it's ice.
A liquid.
When you drink it.
And a gas.
When you boil it.
That's right, it becomes water vapour. So by changing the temperature or the pressure, you can change matter from one state to another. Hey, speaking about boiling water, I've got a little experiment. I've got a piece of card here, and what we want to do is boil water in a piece of card. So I'm going to make a little saucepan and use the candle flame to do it. Now, normally if you put card over a candle flame, it would just catch fire.
Yeah.
Silly experiment, so we're not going to try that, but let's just put this into a sort of a cup shape, like that, and put it into this little wire frame. Oops. Like that. Let me just flatten that out. Thanks, Rob. So sort of scrunch up a piece of cardboard. There we are. And if you hold that, I'll just light the candle. So if you're going to do this experiment, make sure there's an adult to help supervise. Okay, candle's lit. All right. Now, if we did slide that cardboard over the top, of course, it'd catch fire.
Yeah.
Don't do that one. But if we put some water in it first, let's see what happens this time.
And this is just normal water at normal temperature?
Yeah, sure. Tap water.
Yep.
Now, if we lift this up and put it over the top of the candle, like that, voila. First of all, you notice that the cardboard isn't catching fire.
No, not at all.
And the second thing we'll start to notice is that the water inside the card will heat up, eventually boiling.
Oh, so it will actually boil?
Oh, sure it will. You could make a cup of tea out of that. And what's happening, normally the heat from the flame would be absorbed by the paper and would cause the paper to catch fire. But when we've got the water inside, the heat's actually being conducted through the paper to the water, which is absorbing that heat energy much better than the paper, and it's causing the water to change from a liquid state to a gas.
Wow, that's so clever.
Can you feel much heat coming out over the top?
I can, actually, yeah.
I can see some tiny wisps of steam. So I've got a mirror here. I'll just put that over the top, and we'll see if we can get some condensation on the top of the mirror.
Yes, you can.
Can you see some fog there?
Yes, absolutely.
And you can see inside the cup, there's no black on the inside. The water's just starting to boil there.
But there is black on the outside.
Of the card.
Of the cup.
Sure.
Why is that?
Well, that's carbon. That's just coming from the candle itself. It's not the card burning at all.
Okay, well, Sue, that's cardboard. What about, say, paper?
Oh, sure. We could make a little pot out of a piece of paper. Would you like to put your fist in the middle here? Surely. Okay, this is one way of doing it. You just collect up the sides like this.
My fist out?
Yeah, sure. Now I've got a little pot with some handles for me to hold, and you could try that experiment then over the flame. Just be careful you don't hold it too close, but you should be able to boil enough water to make a cup of tea. Hey, speaking of experiments, why don't we find out what Icy and Poot are up to?
The adventures of Icy and Poot. Icy has a pet mouse called Sparky. Sparky loves Icy, but doesn't like his home much.
This house is so boring. I wish I had a new one.
Perhaps we can design him a new one.
Good idea, Poot. We'll make it out of this box. It will need to be interesting for you, Sparky, with plenty of lights.
Oh, and a cat alarm, of course.
You bet!
Can you make a new house for Sparky with everything he needs?
What a great thing to do. You could become your own interior designer for a mouse house. And that's exactly what our team of investigators are doing right now. And they're from Salisbury Primary School. We've got two teams. In the first one is Ben, James, Amy and Carly. And in the second team, we have Anthony, Joshua, Amy and Louise.
We're going to build Sparky a house. For the base, we have a piece of cardboard. And for the uprights, we have these planks of wood here. And for the walls and the roof, we're going to use paper. And so Sparky can see, we're going to have 3 lights and 3 light holders. And as a special feature, we have an alarm so the cat can't get in.
We're building a ground house for Sparky, and for the base we have a large plank of timber.
We're going to use these sticks of wood to build the frame, and we're going to cut it all out with this Stanley knife and glue it together with this hot glue gun. And we're going to use this cardboard for the roofs and the walls, and we're going to light up the house with these light globes. And we're going to use this wire to wire up the lights.
And we have an alarm to keep Sparky safe from the cat.
Next on Hot Science, we get up close to some Russian dinosaurs.
Dinosaur exhibits are always interesting, but this one is unique. These prehistoric skeletons have come all the way from Russia.
Dinosaurs lived in Russia many millions of years ago, about 95 to 100 million. And they came in many different kinds of sizes and shapes. They lived along the rivers and streams, eating, drinking in those kinds of areas. One of the groups that's best represented are the duck-billed dinosaurs. They have many, many different sorts of head shapes, and that head shape seems to be for 2 different reasons. One of the reasons is that many of the heads have hollow places in them, and they connect to the nose and they connect to the throat. Dinosaurs with those shapes and the hollow insides use them as trumpets or tubas to make loud noises, we think. Another reason they might have had different shapes of heads is just to be able to identify one another. Another group that we have that's really big and mean and was feeding on the duck-billed dinosaurs are the tyrannosaurids, things like Tarbosaurus, which was a dinosaur that was about 3 humans high and was a real rip-roaring animal that went out and fed on all kinds of the herbivores that were out there. Tarbosaurus had teeth that were flattened from side to side and had steak knife-like grooves along the back and front, so it could really saw into the flesh of other dinosaurs. There were armored dinosaurs that essentially had huge amounts of armor plate around them to protect themselves from things like Tarbosaurus. We've got many different sorts of those armored dinosaurs known from Russia. They had a ball on the end of the tail, and for a long time scientists thought that that was just for smashing into the ankles of Tarbosaurus, but it was a mimic of the head of the animal. So when this armored dinosaur was eating, had its head down chomping onto the vegetation, stuck its tail up in the air and wiggled it around as a decoy. And so Tarbosaurus would have come along and, not having a brain that was too very large, would have saw that moving ball on the end of the tail and gone for that rather than the head. So in a way, it was being decoyed to another part of the animal, and as a result of it, it got a mouthful of bone instead of a mouthful of skull, and it wouldn't have done much harm to the armored dinosaur. Another group that would have been pursued by Tarbosaurus are the frilled dinosaurs, like Protoceratops. These are dinosaurs that are about the size of sheep. They have a great big frill along the back of their skull, and that frill was mainly for the attachment of muscles that work their lower jaw, so they would have had a really powerful bite. You wouldn't have wanted to have been bitten by a Protoceratops. What's really special about Protoceratops is that we have family groups of these dinosaurs, hundreds and hundreds of skeletons of them. We've got nests of them, so we know how the mother laid the eggs in a spiral. We have hatchlings, we've got teenagers, we've got males and females, adults, so we know how they grew, how their proportions changed, the frill shape changed, for instance, and we know just a lot about what happened in the life of these dinosaurs. This collection was brought to Australia from Russia because a couple of scientists got together and decided it would be a really great idea to bring these wonderful specimens that are matched by no other collections in the world to Australia. And in fact, the collection will travel around the world after it leaves Australia. All of the specimens are being cast so that when the exhibition leaves Australia, there'll be casts of these animals left in Australia forever, so you can go into a museum and see them years on. And another thing that's going on is a lot of the scientists that are here with the collection are talking to people about what they do, and they're doing research and field trips with each other.
Battery?
Well, a battery is a...
Hey, Rob, no, I know what a battery is. Let me say it. a battery is something that provides electricity without using a power point.
That's very good, Ooze. Yeah. It's actually a collection of cells that work chemically together to produce electric current.
That's right.
And batteries come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, and they do all different types of jobs. Can you name a couple of things that are powered by batteries?
Oh, yeah, OK. Torches, watches, cars, and also mobile phones.
That's right. In fact, anything that you want to carry around and make it mobile that needs electricity would have to use a battery. Even my microphone uses a battery.
Oh, hey, can we see it? Can we see it?
Well, I can't actually show you my microphone because then you wouldn't be able to hear me, but I'll show you where the battery is kept.
Right.
Just there, in there. And it's actually that size battery.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
But Ooze, the most fascinating piece of information I have for you is that humans can actually become part of a battery.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, what about me? What about Ooze? What about me?
Oh, Ooze, I'm sorry, but you're not human.
Oh, hey, I'm not human? Oh, really, Rob? Thanks for telling me that. No, I know that.
Sue recently visited the Investigators Science Centre in Adelaide and put that idea to the test.
Well, this is a really special sort of battery. It's a human battery, and Billy, you're going to be part of it. What we've got are two metals, aluminium and copper. If we put a hand on each of those, we can make electricity flow. The reason is the two metals will react if we provide a chemical paste for them to react with. And the paste is on Billy's hands. It's called sweat. It's the salt and the moisture on your fingers. And when you put your hands on those plates, you connect the circuit. So there's a small amount of electricity flowing through you. And Billy, if you put your hands on the outside hands, you notice that the current actually flows the other way. Well, Billy, can you actually feel any electricity flowing through you?
No.
Great. It's only a really small current, but you are a special sort of human battery.
Well, that's one way of using our bodies to make an electric current, but there are others, and Sue's going to show me one right now.
OK, what we're going to use is to use static electricity to power this little fluorescent tube. This is from a camping light, and it doesn't take much current to actually make this light glow. As electricity flows through one end, through to the other, the molecules inside this tube get excited, they flash, release light, and that's the light we see when this light's normally turned on. Okay?
So what else do we need?
Well, we need to actually charge somebody up. And we've got the equipment down below me here too. We've got a plastic bag, okay, which you'll need to put on like a glove. We've got some masking tape to help tie that around your wrist. I've got a board that I'll be standing on, and underneath the board are 4 pieces of soap.
Soap? What's soap doing there?
Soap is not very good at conducting electricity, so this is going to insulate me from the earth, okay? I'll be standing on the board here. You can rub my back with the plastic bag. I'll get a static charge, and I'll be holding onto this tube. Then right at the last minute, you take your hand off me, the rubbing hand, the plastic bag hand, and with your other hand, just touch a finger there, and we should have enough static electricity throwing through the tube to you that it should glow.
Oh, okay. Well, let's try.
Okay, put the tube down. Okay, hold a hand out. Rub that on like a glove. Masking tape. Okay, there we are. Now, this is a safe experiment to try because we're only using very small amounts of electricity. But if you are going to experiment with this, make sure there is an adult there to help supervise, and never, ever, ever experiment with live electrical wires because that can be very dangerous. Okay, I'll hold the prongs, hop on top of the board.
And I start rubbing.
Yep. That feels good. In the middle a bit more, Rob. Over that side.
This isn't fair.
This is a bit like rubbing a rubber balloon on your hair to give it a static charge and then being able to pick up pieces of paper. And in this case, Rob's rubbing me with her plastic glove and building a static charge up on me.
Is that enough?
No, a little bit more. Make sure you don't touch me with any other part of your body because I have to have a charge on me. Okay, we'll bring down the lights in the studio now.
Are you feeling charged, Susie?
I can feel the little hairs on my body sort of getting a charge.
Okay. I'll start rubbing and...
did you see it flash?
Really quickly.
It was only a very small amount of charge, though, that passed through here to you, to the earth, and discharged.
So we made an electric current?
We sure did.
A bottlenose dolphin cannot sleep or it would drown. So it lets one half of its brain sleep for a period and then the other half.
I've got a colourful puzzle for you to look at. Guess what this is a close-up of? It makes wonderful jewellery for your fingers and ears. Did you guess what it is? Well, take a look closely now. It's a type of quartz called amethyst. And did you know when you heat amethyst, its purple colour changes to yellow?
Ooze, you are a wealth of information. I did not know that.
Thank you.
Got anything else to tell me?
Oh, not really, but it's pretty when you wear it.
Oh, it is pretty when you wear it. I don't have any amethyst, though.
Well, neither do I.
But Ooze, let's see what IC and Pooh are up to.
I wonder how the investigators are coming along with your new house, Sparky.
This is the house we made for Sparky. There are 3 bedrooms in our house. The inner walls we made out of foam and we had to cut and glue them together. The outer walls are made out of paper. The uprights we had to cut and measure and then we hot glue gun them together. The inside the rooms, each room has a light so that if Sparky wants to read. And our special feature is the alarm in case the cat comes, and when he opens the door the alarm goes off. We hope this is a special and safe house for Sparky.
This is our house we built for Sparky. It has 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres planks, which we use to build the structure, and it has 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres cardboard, which is the walls. We put batteries on the structure, which connects all the lights up and makes them light up. We have an alarm system which when the cat comes, it turns on to protect Sparky. We hope Sparky has a safe and happy home.
Well, that should make you happy, Sparky.
Thanks to our investigators at Salisbury Primary School. They certainly did a good job and they've taken care of the cat alarm and plenty of lights for Sparky's home. Hey, do you know, something I'd really love to do is fly an aeroplane, and this might be the closest chance I get. So tighten up your seatbelts. We're going inside a flight simulator.
This is the P3C Orion, an aircraft used by the Australian Defence Forces for coastal surveillance and maritime search and rescue operations. At the RAAF base in Edinburgh, South Australia, pilots gain valuable experience flying the Orion without really leaving the ground.
80 knots.
Here we are inside the cockpit of the P3C Orion simulator. What basically is a computer that teaches pilots and flight engineers on how to fly the P3 Orion. The way the computer works is that all switch selections or control movements that the pilots move up the front are transmitted to the computer, which calculates the various end result. The simulator sits on 6 legs which are hydraulically controlled via the computer. This allows the simulator to actually imitate the feelings of a real aeroplane in rolls, pitches, etc. It also allows the instructor to input various weather conditions such as turbulence for the flight crew. Everything you can do in the real Orion you can do in the simulator, and the things that you try to do in the simulator are the emergency procedures, which are often quite dangerous to do in the real aeroplane. And as well as that, it's a lot less cost to fly in a simulator than the aeroplane. Pilots and flight engineers are the main users of the simulator. Tradesmen also are the ones who come in here to learn about the P3 Orion systems. All the major airlines have simulators just as we do. My job back here is to actually run the scenario for the pilots. I can change quite a few things. I can put in malfunctions as you see here on the screen. As we can see at the moment, I'm about to input an engine fire on an engine.
Engine fire number 3.
Normal rate is 1, 2 and 4.
Normal rate 1, 2 and 4.
Lead handle 3.
E-handling number 3.
HRD discharge.
HRD discharge.
3's for the pilot.
3's for the co-pilot.
Most crews enjoy coming into the simulator. We come in here about once a month. It gives us the opportunity to practice the sort of thing that we can't really practice when we're flying the real aeroplane in the way of malfunctions.
Hey, it's quiz time.
Great, that's my favourite part of the show. And I've got the first question.
Okay.
Who can name the 3 states of matter?
The 3 main ones?
Yes.
Solids, liquids and gases. And there is a 4th one, isn't there, Sue?
Yeah, there is. We don't see it very often.
It's called plasma.
And
Whoa.
plasma occurs at very high temperatures. It occurs when you get the particles of gases blasted apart. So lightning is an example of plasma.
Ah, can we think of examples for the other three?
Oh, sure. This bench would be a solid.
Yeah.
Ooze?
Yeah. I'm a solid as well. And also this water that I'm swimming around is a liquid like oceans and rivers are too.
Ah, and a gas is the air we breathe and also the oxygen that plants release into the air.
Yeah.
So, Ooze, turn to your other side and tell me what those 5 things are.
Oh, they're batteries, Rob.
They are, Ooze. And what are batteries?
Oh, I know this one. A battery is something that generates electricity without using a power point.
And I think our team of investigators, when they were making Sparky the Mouse's house, would have had to have used batteries because they had lights and they also had an alarm and it wasn't connected to a power source.
No, it wasn't either, was it?
And they had switches as well because they were able to turn them on and off, weren't they?
So how did they do it?
Well, they would have had switch, electric wires, batteries, light bulbs, an alarm as well.
Yeah, very clever.
They were, weren't they?
Well, maybe that's something for you to try before the next time we see you on our next episode of Hot Science.
Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.